Being 15, what's the best way for us to reach people who are in high school? Because I'm not, like I do the same thing. Like I do my little dances here and there, back and
Yeah.
forth, and I put like captions in there. I make like little songs. But what's the best way to get to the youth? Because I'm not Megan Thee Stallion, so I'm not gonna be able to twerk to get people's attention. So, what's the best way to get the attention of
I
you know high schoolers?
Yeah, so I would say make it super relatable just to
Relatable.
like
Okay.
I know for teens to make it more like relatable is the biggest thing. And I think just trying to make things relatable is the biggest.
You said make it super relatable to high schoolers.
Yeah, and make it more like I trying to like make it more relatable is the biggest thing. Just trying to reach teens, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I'd say that's the biggest thing. And like emphasizing like if you are struggling, like reach out for help. I think those are the biggest ones, especially with teens. Try to emphasize reaching out for help if you're struggling, and don't just keep it to yourself,
Okay.
because from experience I've done that too. But I think those are the two biggest things.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something that I definitely try to do. And there's a lot of, mental health professionals who mean well and they want to reach teenagers, but it's difficult when, like for example, if I get online and I start talking about like complicated therapies or medications, like you all won't receive it correctly because it's not relatable. So you have to be relatable first,
Yeah.
and then you can, talk about whatever you want to talk about. So like TikTok, by itself,
Yeah,
there's a
that's the
way,
biggest one
like,
to reach
yeah,
teens too.
yeah. So anytime there's a trend that I see a lot of teenagers on, like I'll try and find a way to incorporate what I do into that trend, so that way on TikTok, like when you click at the bottom and you click the sound, like all the
Yeah.
top videos will pop up there. So hopefully
Yeah.
somebody might accidentally like just be scrolling through and they might get to my content if it doesn't hit their For You page.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I would also
okay,
say, and even just being like my age, like I know the younger generation is really trying to make a change too, and I think we should have more teenagers and high schoolers advocating for mental health, because I know there's only like a
I
couple of
agree.
us there, and that's why I started. Like I went through my own stuff
Right.
and things, but being in a better place now, and I say this every time, the reason why I started advocating, I found the light to things, was Zach's TikToks. And
Wow, wow.
that,
I love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
say it every
fantastic.
time. Like, there was one night during quarantine when I was like really going through it. And I was scrolling on my For You page and I come across Zach's TikToks. I'm like, this is such a coincidence. And ever
Yeah.
since we just like connected and stuff. And then like being an ambassador for mental health movement too has been like boosted me up even more.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's fantastic. No, I didn't do an accelerated program for whoever's asking in the comment, but I think the fact that Zach was able to reach you that way, I think that was fantastic. And for high schoolers, like I talk about this in my book. Like when I was in high school, like like you
Mm-hmm.
go through things, or like you have like expectations and all this other stuff on you. But like high schoolers, sometimes it's hard for them to figure out like what are the signs of like maybe being depressed, burnt out, anxious, stressed, or whatever. And like I probably was pretty anxious and maybe even depressed at one point, like failing a lot of classes in high school. So like I didn't know what it was called. I would just go in my room and I would listen to Kid Cudi, and like that's how like I would go through, whatever I was going through. So I think just trying to put a name on it and trying to let people know that okay,
Yeah.
whatever you're going through is not weird, but like there's a reason why you're going
Yeah.
through this. If you pay attention to like a few things here and there, you could actually be, better. You could actually perform at a higher level, and you could put
Yeah. I
yourself at,
totally agree.
the best place to succeed.
Yeah, and I think
Okay,
schools need to do a better job of bringing more awareness about it, because there's not enough awareness in school about mental health,
I
and
agree.
that's what frustrates me. Only being a sophomore, like no one ever talks about it. That's like one of the topics people hate talking about. And that's
Right.
what we're here for, is to try to
Hmm.
destigmatize that, and no one likes to talk about it. And I
Right.
think it should be like a class that's built into everyone's schedule
I
because
agree.
it's not talked about enough. And some teachers don't know how to handle it well when kids are going through
Hmm.
something, like they just don't handle it well. And I think both teachers and administration needs to like be more like informed about it and stuff and how to help kids out.
I
I think that's a
agree.
big
Yeah, we have to be more proactive and preemptive with that kind of stuff instead of being reactive and waiting for something to happen. And then you're like, oh, we should have been talking about it. You never know what type of lives you're saving. So whenever I read a comment
yeah
that people are like, oh, a TikTok saved a life, at first I was like, are you for real? But then there's actually, like that
yeah
gives me a lot of purpose. So I'm constantly trying to figure out different ways to, branch out into the high school, middle school, even elementary school space. So I'm always looking out,
yeah,
and it's some
especially
it's just
in middle.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, because at my middle school we lost someone like committed, and I think that was like a wake up call to everyone there. Once we did lose someone, and I think it was a really big wake up call to my school because that happened, and a lot of other schools around there too. Like it was a really big wake up call for everyone to be like, this is real. And what they show one video saying what you should do if someone's like suicidal or stuff like that. I'm like, that's not enough. Like there
Right,
needs to be way more than that.
right, and we shouldn't wait until that point because a lot of people are high functioning and they're dealing with whatever they deal with, but they're able to like function on a day-to-day basis, but they could be so much more efficient, or they could be mentally healthier if they just had like a little bit of help. So if the system was designed to catch things before it became like a crisis, it could be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
like
all right,
one video in what to do if someone's going through something like that's honestly not enough. Like
right,
I knew I was going through it myself in 8th grade. That's when everything really started. And I'm like, there's no one I could go talk to. There was not any support until I like finally got into high school and things like started to change, and I wanted to change things because I didn't want to be like how I was in a deep hole thinking I never was going to get out of it. And
right.
here I am. I am still here.
Right, and I'm
And it's
happy you're here.
very,
Like I'm very thankful that you're here
yeah.
to tell your story, and we need more people talking about their issues and talking about what they've gone through. It's a testimony. People like to avoid the conversation, but it's a testimony. And the great thing about like a platform like TikTok is, and I have big plans for TikTok in 2021, like some huge plans because that's the best way to get to these kids. Like my brother told me something that changed how I did TikTok in general. He said that this was last year. He said that the kids at his school paid more attention to TikTok than the actual teachers. And I was like, oh snap! So people are really on their
For
phones all day. Like they're on their phones, like
oh,
oh, this is my FYP, blah, blah. So they're not really paying attention. Now you
it's
should be paying
true.
attention in class, but that let me know that I could have their
I got
attention
called out
more,
there. I do that too. I'll
than
sit
their
on
actual
somebody.
teachers. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, yep. All
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
I appreciate you. I'm gonna get somebody else on here, but thank you so much for talking
Thank
about
you.
your experience,
Really
and
appreciate it.
continue to spread awareness at your school. And I really appreciate what you're doing.
I will. Thank you. I
All
appreciate
right.
having me on.
Anytime. Thank you so much, Kayla.
Yeah, of course.
All right.